Comics.fm, back again. I got a hankering for some ice cream. Andrew Scorgie, do you got a hankering for some ice cream?
Oh yeah, ever since I read The Ice Cream Man, I got this hankering, and it's like it won't go down, if you know what I'm saying.
Well, and that hankering is 4 hours or more. There's definitely other pills for that. Because the Ice Cream Man, I have like a hardcover. There's 12 issues in this one. We're going to talk about the first one. But the Ice Cream Man is a comic that is very much like Twilight Zone, Black Mirror, Tales from the Crypt, where they're all sort of self-contained stories about a bunch of weird stuff going on, but it's all centered around this Ice Cream Man character. And Scorgie, when you were a kid and there'd be an Ice Cream Man on the block, would you run up to the truck to get ice cream? Or it's like, no, that's not my thing.
You know, I think I was the last generation where we still ran over there to try and get some ice cream. I think kids a little younger than me were taught not to do that for various reasons.
Yeah. Like getting run over because you're running in the street all the time. And then I don't know if it's probably universal that an ice cream man in general is a little bit of a creepy job, you know?
Yeah.
I remember seeing a movie. I think it was a Cheech and Chong movie that my brother showed me years ago. And it was Cheech and Chong's Nice Dreams, but they drove an ice cream truck, but they wrote Nice Dreams. And if I remember, Pee Wee Herman's in that movie before he was Pee Wee, Paul Rubens. But, I never had I always loved going to see the Ice Cream Man because I would get either the baseball glove ice cream where the ball was a gumball, like a baseball gumball, or the red, white, and blue pop was one of my other favorites,
I grew up in Colorado, not Chicago, so I don't know if we ever had ice cream trucks like that in the, late 80s, early 90s.
Okay. So you didn't really have Ice Cream Man, so to speak, a whole lot, a little bit.
No, I'm pretty sure they were just cruising around, saying, what do you want? Chocolate? Vanilla?
Yeah. Oh, so straight up ice cream, nothing fancy.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. We had, I think it was also, there was an Ice Cream Man, just like standard, basic, just like unmarked, white van. And then there was like the Good Humor Man who had other types of ice cream as well there.
Oh, I remember seeing the commercials about the Good Humor Man. Yeah.
That's another one too, where it's like, I don't know, parents, talk to your kids about jumping into vans and trucks and enticing kids with ice cream,
Oh, yeah. And of course, also around that time, they wanted kids to be more health conscious and not be getting diabetes and stuff.
That's true. Save something for when you're older. Don't get all the stuff now. Get the diabetes later. And, but here's the thing. What is it? Ice cream? Ice cream?
Yeah, we all scream for ice cream.
We all scream for ice cream. We're going to talk about this awesome comic. And Scorgie, since this is comics.fm, so your radio career, you have been in the Colorado area for all of it, correct?
Yeah. I've never worked in any other state, so never lived in any other state.
Because you love it so much there and you don't want to move on?
Well, but truth be told, I've never been offered a job anywhere else. So, yeah.
But you also probably never explored it yourself either, right? So.
No, not terribly. I have applied for a couple of out-of-state jobs, but nothing ever came of those.
Yeah, a lot of it, and I will say that it's not your fault. A lot of times people don't want to hire somebody out of state because there's baggage that goes with that. Well, literally, but there's also baggage of people get homesick all the time. I've been there before. People make a big move. The grass isn't always greener like you thought it was. Yep. What ends up happening is you take a chance on somebody, right? So somebody in, California hires Andrew Scorgie to come on over, and a month goes by. You're like, man, my boss is kind of a jerk. I don't really like this. It's not what I thought it was. It's kind of different, little bait and switch. And so a lot of times people just don't want to mess with it. So I don't think it's anything I knew. I think it's actually a testament to your longevity in a market, because usually the market itself grows tired of a person and then they don't work anymore. So you've been doing it for a while now. Are you in the game for 15 years now?
Well, off and on. Actually, I think it was 2009 when I got my first radio job. So
okay. When you got your start in radio there, were you an on the air guy right off the bat, or were you more behind the scenes, promotions, production, all that?
I was on the air just part-time doing weekends and stuff. Yeah.
Okay. And was it one of those things where did you think it was going to turn into a career, or was it like, you know what? This is a cool side gig, but I probably have to have another job?
Yeah, I really didn't think it was going to be a career. This was actually, gosh, this was 2009. So it's right after that whole recession was going on and
Yeah.
everything.
Yep.
And I'd been working construction, and construction jobs, of course, were just, going by the wayside.
Yeah.
I was lucky to be working as long as I was in construction. I knew that that wasn't going to stick around much longer.
Yeah.
And sure enough, they had an opening at this station, and yeah, the guy offered it to me, and I thought, well, we're not going to have much more construction work for very long, so I got to do what I got to do. And
So let's trade in a career where you are manual labor, working with your hands and swearing all day, to a job
yeah,
when there probably isn't a ton of heavy lifting, but you're not allowed to use bad words. So it's the complete opposite, right?
yeah, as long as the mic is on, we're not allowed to use bad words. When the mic comes off, though, well, actually, sometimes even when the mic's on, those bad words do slip out.
That is true. Yeah.
All
So
in there.
when you got into the radio world, at that point, you're thinking, all right, this is kind of cool because now I get to be in a creative job, have some fun, show some personality. And at that point, was it sort of like the living the dream kind of style for you?
Well, more or less. See, I'd grown up listening to that station and everything too.
Yeah.
I always thought it'd be neat to work there. Never
Yep.
thought it would actually happen, but sure enough, it's funny how things turn out sometimes.
Things turn out. And then over time, so when I met you, you joined 98.1 KKFM and all of the Cumulus stations in
Oh yeah.
that cluster there. You joined in. You were hired to be sort of like Swiss Army knife, basically, right?
Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm still doing here.
Still doing it. Yeah.
Commercials more than anything, but yeah, a little on-air stuff, helping out with promotions sometimes too, and
Yeah.
yeah.
So it's kind of nice when, and that's what I remember years ago. I used to teach at this local broadcast school in the Chicago area. And I'd always tell people, just, I know it's hard to be the say yes to everything because you want to have some level of control and not feel like you're just kissing butt. But the fact is, the more agreeable you are, the more you're willing to help out with stuff, the more you get those kind of invaluable roles. Somebody like you who does 15 different things, that is, I hate to say it, that is more important than someone that does one thing because that person, unfortunately, is more expendable. You are like, wow, I got this, I got this, I got this, I got this, I got this. You get rid of me, and like it's like I pull the pin and the whole thing comes down. Like, all right,
Yeah.
we can't pull this guy's pin, and I think that's important to be that level of utility man.
Yeah, that who knows? That might be the only reason I still have a job.
But that's all right because a lot of people don't. People watching this now, a lot of people are in the broadcast field, but a lot of people that watch the show, stuff I hear from people is they always thought it would be cool to work in radio. And it's different in 2025 than it was in 2015, than it was in '05, than it was in '95. It keeps changing. It's different. It's evolving. It's not dying. It's just evolving how we do things. With technology, we do more with less now. You're
Yeah.
able to do 5 different jobs and not have, not be working 12-hour days. Or you're actually able to do different things because we have things. You can record this over there. You can do this over here. There's things that save you time, and you having that know how to do that does make it pretty important for you to kind of get everything done.
Oh yeah, yeah. And truth be told, though, there are other things that, in some ways, I think might have been better back decades ago. I hear
Mhm.
stories about some of the things they used to get away with in the '90s,
Yeah.
for instance, and I think, oh man, I missed out on all the cool stuff.
Yeah, that was my big thing. I was talking to my previous episode with Jack Taddeo. I told him when I got into radio, it was 2007. So it wasn't too much before you. And I was always interested. And I kind of like softly like talked to people and tried to weasel my way in, but I wasn't going anywhere. And when I finally got in, I got my break. I'm like, all right, where's the strippers? They're like, what? I'm like, where's the, how about like, I want to call up this furniture store and like ask if they, and mess with them. Like, no, we don't do any of that stuff. you say this, you say that, you talk about that. You got to give that company down the street a mention. You got to get to that. You got to talk about this promotion coming up. I'm like, wait, where can I do my latest like Yo Mama joke? Like, no, we don't do that. We're not doing any of that. And so I learned immediately, like, this is not what I thought, because you watch TV shows and movies that glorify radio DJs. And that was the way it was in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. 2000s, not and beyond, not so much. You know, it's still fun, but it ain't what you think.
Oh yeah, actually, one show that was on right before I started working in radio. Do you happen to remember a show that didn't last very long? It was on VH1. It was called Free Radio.
Yes,
Krall.
Moron in the Morning with Lance Krall.
Yes. Oh yeah, that guy was so hilarious. I mean,
I'm so glad you brought that up, because nobody talks about that show, and it was like so ahead of its time. So Lance Krall, hilarious comedian. He's been in a bunch of, he's a guy you've seen in stuff before. He was in an episode of The Office. He played, I think, the sensei when Michael and Dwight had a fight. He was in the original Joe Schmo show, the fake like reality show. He was great in there. He plays an intern who gets put on the radio on the morning show of this big New York station when they go to satellite, much like Howard Stern going to satellite kind of thing, you know?
Yeah.
And he just says whatever. The guests that he has on are real guests. They're from TV shows and movies that you've seen around, you know, that time. But it's kind of like a, you know, real, not real, that kind of back and forth. But it's this guy of like, oh my God, I can't believe this guy's on the air right now. And it's a genius show. So if you can, I don't even know where you can watch it, but if you can find Free Radio online, it's like 6 episodes, maybe 10. It's so great.
Yeah. There might be clips of it on YouTube, I suppose, but yeah, it definitely was. Oh, it was absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, and the woman on the show was the perfect foil for him, like her voice
Anna
of
Pacino,
reason.
yeah,
She's great, and yeah, loved it. And then the program director on that show, he pops up in everything. You see, like he's in like every movie because he's this kind of like nerdy guy. But yeah, that show was big for me. For me, the biggest things that got me into radio. Number one, growing up in Chicago, my dad listening to Steve Dahl and Gary Meyer and Jonathan Brandmeier and Kevin Matthews. These guys are having a blast on the radio. They're having things you couldn't do today. You know, you can't make fun of the foreign guy's accent on the show. You know, all those different things. Loved it as a kid. Then I got a little older. I got into Howard Stern big time. And I was like, okay, this is awesome. And then Free Radio was cool a little bit later on. But I remember the movies Airheads was a big one for me. And I just always thought, why would you not want to have that? Some people want to be actors and, you know, celebrities, but radio seems like the ultimate sort of just like have some fun, but you know, it's corporate too. At the same time, you know, you're going to have rules, right?
Oh yeah. Another one like that also had me thinking it'd be fun to work in radio one day was Jimmy Fallon's old skits on Saturday Night Live. Those.
Yeah.
104.
Oh yeah. He's like, well, we're back. Man in the box, get back in that box. Like, we got Sanjay, the intern here. Yeah. And Ben Affleck was awesome in that one too.
Oh yeah. When he was stealing his characters and everything.
He's like, I think Gary just pooped his pants. Like, oh no. Like, it's that's a really good one. I think anything that it has that over the top ridiculousness. I mean, you know, people that are, I guess, the generation before us really love WKRP. Still a good show, but like that was, you know, before us. But you know, that has its moments where you've got the bad boy DJ who got fired for saying booger on the radio, and now he gets hired over here. It's like that. There is a level of coolness that goes into it all, and I think that's still there. Like I think there's still, even with people being unfortunately laid off, and you know, AI voices and all these things that are going on now. There is still something pretty badass about having a microphone, being on an actual radio station, like better than a podcast. Podcasts are great, but it's better than a podcast because you are literally broadcasting live to tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. And like that's been going on for 100 years. So it's still pretty awesome.
Absolutely. It's still theater of the mind.
That's right. It is. Nobody knows if the things you're saying are there or not there. Is it real? Is it not real? Some of it is, some of it isn't. I don't know. Are you entertained? that's all that really matters, you know?
Yeah, and actually, when I first started working in radio, I'd asked some of the people I was working with about things that I had heard growing up. There were things where they had claimed that they'd what was it, gotten sued or gotten in all this trouble, and some of those they said, "Oh no, we just made all that stuff up."
Yeah. It's the like the getting fired thing or lawsuits or complaints and FCC or feuds with other hosts, you know. To me, as a big pro wrestling fan, radio is wrestling. It's the same shit. It's and politics, same shit. It's all this level of on camera or on microphone, on air, we are characters. Behind the scenes, everyone's high-fiving each other. We're all best friends. That's just how it is. And I think it's great because even in 2025, in a time where people don't like to be tricked or people want spoilers now, right? They don't even go to the movies. I'm just going to read what happens online and I'm good. I don't have to see it. That's the way people live now. It's like, no. Radio still has the theater of the mind of, you don't know what's going on. You know what? Is Alice Cooper waiting outside to come in after you? I don't know. He might be. He might be. I don't know. You're not there. So when you were brought into KKFM, was that initially just for KKFM or were you sort of like, you're going to be doing everything at that point? Do you remember?
I think the idea was that I was going to be a bit of a jack of all trades around the building, help out with things. So that's definitely what it turned into. So
it did for sure. Well, I remember we had some brief time together when I was leaving that job and I was moving.
I was just starting.
Yeah. And one thing I remembered about you is like, I told our boss at the time, Bobby Irwin, I said, how was he going to learn all this stuff? Cause I only have a week left and I have so much to show him or anybody. He's like, just do the best you can. Tell him everything you know. And you absorbed it like a sponge. I thought that was pretty badass that like in a week you picked up everything. And because I even said like, hey, if you have a question or something, I told Bob, if you have, just call me. And I'm either nobody wanted to call me or there were no questions, which is what I think it was. So I was pretty happy that you were a good like transition man throughout that whole time, you know?
Yeah. And I had some experience with some of the software that we use, Airheads and stuff like that. Yeah. Thank goodness, because that's a little tricky at first, but
for sure.
And also, we had shout out to Matt West. I don't know if he watches these, but
he better be watching.
The ropes. Yeah.
Yeah, Matt's a good dude. I got to get him on one day. Yeah, the thing is, he's another jack of all trades too, and those are those times where it's like, you know what? If we're looking for people, I mean, it's weird because on one hand, I don't like to defend the shitty things that happen in corporate radio by any means, and I don't defend when people get laid off and this and that. But the fact is, it's like being out in the wild. It's survival of the fittest, and the more valuable you can make yourself, that's a big deal. Like and this is just a good lesson to anyone even watching or listening. Like when you talk about wanting to get in this field, and if someone says, hey, we want you to do some more social media, or we want you to do some videos, or we want you to do a podcast, or we want you to maybe, we want you to go visit this client and there's not gonna be no extra pay. And a lot of people in radio will be like, no. And I've been there before too. I've done that because you weigh out everything. Is it worth my time? Is it not? Sometimes you just have to think about, okay, what's going to be the future return on this investment? And that's how I always looked at it. Like I remember when I started at KKFM, I signed on to be the host of the Coffin Races, Emma Crawford Coffin Races.
Okay. Yeah. And love that Manitou.
Yeah. So I signed up. I didn't know, I never did it before, brand new to the area. And it's amazing, by the way, anyone look it up online. There's like 10,000 people and they're all racing homemade coffins that they made, like essentially cars, but coffins on a race. And it's great. They let me do it. And I'm like, okay. And then it was a long ass day. It was like 8 hours. And even though it was October, I was sweating my butt off. It was a lot to it. And someone, I won't say who, but it was like, why would you do that without getting paid for it? It's like, well, one, I'm trying to help the station get better ratings and I'm trying to help myself I don't want to say replace because you can't replace Mark Stevens, who was there forever. I'm not sure. I just said, hey, I'm just trying to be me, but I'm trying to make a name for myself. And the funny thing is, a year later, I went back again, and this time I brought a team with us. We had our own coffin, and I hosted it again with other people on stage too. But I got on a microphone. I got to once again say who I am, say my station over and over again, all that promotion. And we had a couple sponsors and they got mentioned too. And then I got a couple of bucks, not much, but it was something for my time. That's how I look at all this stuff. There's a mixture of paying it forward for like the greater good, but also for yourself. Like sometimes doing the extra stuff will actually pay off for you. And I think you see that when you help out with everything, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. You never know what something is going to grow into.
Yeah, you don't. And if you say no to something, you will never know. That's just
absolutely
that's how it goes.
And there have been times, granted, where I said yes to something and then kicked myself over it.
I've been there.
Shot myself in the foot. But that's part of the deal.
So we talked about you getting into radio and where you're at right now on 98.1 KKFM, among other stations in Colorado Springs, doing a whole bunch there. When we talk about a book like Ice Cream Man, so this first issue, this is a compendium volume 1, it's got 12 issues, but even the first issue, you've got this Ice Cream Man character and he's a little spider there, if you notice here. First issue, I don't want to, I'll let people obviously read, I don't want to give things away too much, but you got a little kid that is on his own for some reason and he is going to get some ice cream, probably doesn't need any ice cream, but you know what he likes his ice cream. And then he's going to go back home and he's going to see his mom and dad, although unfortunately his mom and dad are, we'll say no longer with us, but they're still with him sort of there. So he's living in this house with some rotting bodies in there. He's got a spider and you don't want to mess with that spider because then, things might happen. And as the story progresses, the Ice Cream Man is a part of that story. Did he put the spider there? Did it turn into this and the ice cream into the spider? All this kind of stuff. And that's how all of the Ice Cream Man issues, so from issue 2, 3, they're all different stories that are all independently on their own, but they all have the Ice Cream Man as the main guy, so to speak, in the story there. So if you like things like Twilight Zone or Black Mirror, Tales from the Crypt, the great thing about this comic, and by the way, written by W. Maxwell Prince, illustrated by Martín Morazzo, colored by Chris O'Halloran, this is something that it's pretty messed up because it's got these nice little titles of these issues, ice cream flavored type titles here, like Strange Neapolitan, Hopscotch Melange, Rainbow Sprinkles, Raspberry Surprise. But then as you actually get to it, this kid's like, give me chocolate, two scoops here. And it's like, well, as you start to go through it, it is not quite the nice wholesome tale here. So
yeah, I was kind of surprised when I looked open and saw that they cuss in these comics. And you can actually see, maybe you can see they're rated M for mature.
Yeah. Rated M for must be a good one. That's how I look at it. And there's swears in the comics. There's violence. There's creepiness here. And, this kid's Spider Rupert, he's just, he's just doing what spiders do. It's not his fault. And, the issue wraps up. You've got kind of like a Wolfman situation going on. You got these detectives that are out there. And when you actually break it all down, is the Ice Cream Man orchestrating all of these strange events happening? Is he just there? Is he cursed? Do things follow him around? You'll have to read it and find out. And the great thing is you can read 1 issue, you can read 3 issues. It doesn't matter. They sort of have a theme together, but they don't have to be read together. So you can just pick up the first one and give it a try. See if you like that style of comic.
Yeah, what you just mentioned kind of reminded me of, remember the movie Unbreakable?
Oh, yeah. That's a good one. Yeah, Samuel Jackson.
Not to give anything away, but there was, the cause and effect. Something is revealed there for those of you who haven't seen it yet. Yeah.
So you're saying there was a twist in an M. Night Shyamalan movie? Is that what you're saying?
There was a twist, and it was a good one this time. Not like The Happening.
Right. Well,
That
I
guy's
think
had
it's,
some bad ones.
and he
Oh,
became known for having like, whoa, now what's it gonna be? That was his whole shtick, and I haven't heard much from him anymore. But Ice Cream Man is something that it's part of why I do this show is it's not going to always be about Marvel, DC, comic book, super. I mean, we're gonna have some of those, and I've done some of those already. But there's so many genres in comics that to me it's just another medium. It's like movies, it's like TV, just like radio and TV news. These are all different mediums for this story. And if you like the style of story, horror, thriller, weird, effed up, if you like all that, then yeah, Ice Cream Man might be for you. At the very least, if you like ice cream, there's always references because lickety split becomes a little bit of a catchphrase in there.
yeah, that's it was kind of interesting to see some of those things. It
Yeah,
was definitely a lot crazier than anything that ever happened in a Spider-Man comic that I
that is
saw.
true. That is true. Well, and weirdly enough, you mentioned to me the other day, like it is sort of a Spider-Man when you break it down. So
Yep.
if you want to get the whole thing, it's the first 12 issues. This is the Sunday edition. Haha. And volume one there. There are others. I don't remember where they're at right now. This came out, I believe, in 2018. And I think it's still going on right now. So we're talking about, 7 years of issues, I believe. But I'm very behind on it. I read a handful of them several years ago. And then I recently picked up this book and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna get Scorgie the issue one. I'm gonna get this book here. And for me, if I had to pick a favorite panel, it's like just horrible idea that this kid is living in a house with his dead parents at the kitchen table. I mean, it's like you're in for a ride here when a comic's got that going on.
Yeah, there were some Black Mirror vibes, I guess. You're
Yeah,
right. And
yeah,
that
Black.
latest season, that's the latest season of Black Mirror has been really good too.
Yeah, Black Mirror, so Black Mirror has the modern approach to just
Twilight
crazy,
Zone.
weird
Yeah.
stuff. Twilight Zone had the old school approach, you know what I mean? Tales from the Crypt a little bit. I like that kind of stuff. I think it, it takes you out of the real world and you can kind of just have fun with it, see where it goes. And it's not for everybody, but that's kind of cool about these kind of comics. I mean, there are comics about horror and mystery and thriller as well as superhero type stories too.
Oh
So
yeah.
so definitely check out Ice Cream Man. The writer, W. Maxwell Prince, you could tell he must really like the weird stuff. And I think we appreciate that. And you know what? What's the Ice Cream Man going to do next? If you happen to see an Ice Cream Man in real life in modern day, you might think twice now, right?
Yeah, I'm probably never going to be able to look at ice cream trucks the same way after that.
That's right. Lickety split for sure.
Of course, then again, another thing I just thought of, because you grew up in Chicago, but I know you've also spent time in Florida. Do you remember the ice cream truck that they had in Shameless on the south side of Chicago?
I did not keep up with that. I probably should have. Should I finish that show?
Yeah, I'd say watch it the whole way through,
Yeah.
But yeah, it did come up a little bit short though for me. I mean, I just it was good, but I always felt like it could have been a little bit better.
Scorgie,
Yeah.
you've worked in radio long enough where you've probably encountered, have you come across like a celebrity or something where it was like, you know what, that person was way cooler than I thought they were?
I guess I would have to say that about Vinnie Paul from
Oh,
Pantera.
Pantera, awesome. Who's
Yeah,
now passed on, unfortunately, but
exactly. May he rock in peace, and we know
yeah,
he is. Yeah, I got to see him performing with his other band, Hell Yeah, in
yeah,
Colorado Springs, and I had been warned that with huge rock stars like him, a lot of times apparently they're kind of divas. They tend not to be very nice. The more famous they are, the bigger jerks they can be. But that was not the case at all with him. He was so freaking
awesome.
cool. I wouldn't have cared if he was a total jerk to me
Yeah,
because
right.
he's just that awesome. But oh, nicest guy in the world.
That's so cool. Yeah, and something that when you like, I love Pantera too, and like I've never got to meet, Vinnie Paul or any of the guys from that band. It's like what your hope is that they, even if they do have some attitude, at least like, all right, well, it's a rock star, they're badass, they kind of do what they want, but they're not like horrible. But when they're cool, it's that much cooler when you listen to their music at that point.
Yeah, another guy I actually met on a whim, just like out of nowhere. I happened to see him walking through an airport, and he's not a big deal like Vinnie Paul or
Yeah.
anything. He's a producer. Well, actually, he is also a drummer in another band. kind of like Vinnie Paul. Do you know who Butch Vig is?
Oh, Butch Vig from Garbage and
Yeah.
producer of Nevermind as
Yeah,
well.
exactly. And he produced some of the Smashing Pumpkins stuff as
Yeah.
well. Yeah, I saw him walking through an airport, and I knew I recognized him. I thought, oh
Yeah.
yeah, that's what's his? And then I thought that is Butch Vig, you idiot. And yeah, and I just walked over, said hello, got a picture, and also very nice guy.
Oh, that's sweet. Yeah, you never know. I mean, because I don't know, you don't hear about his personality though, so you have no idea how how he's going to be randomly approached in an airport too.
Yeah, and actually, one of the first people I informed that you'll never believe this, I met Butch Vig, was Bill Douglas, who we've both worked with, and
Oh, nice.
Bill had met him previously as well, and said he was a very cool guy to him too. So,
Oh, nice. Well, and most people are cool to Bill no matter what. And then like we might meet them and they're not. It's like Bill has a very disarming vibe about him
oh
anyway.
yeah,
And so that's good to hear too. So yeah, I think we're gonna have to get Bill Douglas on this show at some point. It's gonna have to
definitely.
happen. Yeah. So obviously radio is taking you down a lot of different paths and all of that. If you were to combine these things, that's what we do on the show. We take comic books and radio together. If you were a superhero, what would your powers be? What's the movie called? Who's going to play you? Give me all that kind of stuff. Give me like the Hollywood pitch.
Gosh, I used to say if I could be any superhero, I'd want to be Iron Man because he's rich.
Yeah, right.
If I could have any superpower, though, gosh, what would it be? Well, there's so many things out there now, especially like when you see the new Thunderbolts movie, that
Yeah.
Sentry guy can just do all this
Right.
stuff.
Some powers are just like I can do everything,
Yeah. Well, I guess I'll start with being able to fly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would go with that one. As far as who would play me, gosh, I don't know. Maybe Ron Howard. People used to tell me I looked like him when he was a kid.
Yeah, not now.
Yeah, my hair's not as orange. Well, my hair's not as orange as it used to be, and his definitely is not.
Well, he hasn't had hair since 1981, I think. So it's
Yeah, he could definitely direct the movie, though. He's great at that these
yeah,
days.
yeah. Maybe his brother Clint Howard can play you. You ever see him?
Yes, MTV Lifetime Achievement Award winner.
Oh, is he? I don't think I knew that.
Oh yeah, they did that back in like the late '90s for him. I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
That's awesome.
I barely even knew who he was at that point. I only knew him as the guy from Austin Powers in the control center.
Yeah, he's definitely character actor for sure. Clint Howard. He has that face for sure. So you've got the movie. Is your name going to be Scorgie, or are you going to have like a superhero name?
Okay, you're never gonna believe this. Clint Howard was actually once in a movie called Ice Cream Man.
Whoa,
I swear. What do you know?
that's pretty amazing. It all
And it
comes
looked like it
together.
was a horror comedy movie too. So maybe that's where they got the idea for the Ice
What?
Cream Man comic.
So you're flying around. Ron Howard or Clint Howard playing you. Is the name Scorgie? Is that weird enough for a superhero name, or do you want like a superhero name?
I do remember actually once having one of those Superman shirts with the S.
Yeah.
And wanting to, thinking that wouldn't that be so much cooler if I could put Scorgie Man on it or something?
Yeah. Scorgie Man's good. I like that. It's already like, you were blessed with a funny name already, and that became your radio name,
Yeah,
You've
well,
got,
and that's what people had always called me too. Even before radio and everything. For some reason, they just it just stuck. And there's people I've known for many many years who sometimes ask me, Scourge, forgive me for not knowing this, but what is your real name?
because they think that's a nickname, not even your last name.
Oh yeah. And actually, I was telling Josiah about this the other day. There's also been folks who seemed to think that when they heard Scourge or Scorgie, they were hearing Scorch or
Oh,
Scorchy.
Scorch.
And I
Okay.
wondered if maybe they thought that was a Red Beard fire reference or something like that.
Oh. So maybe flying around and dropping fireballs as well.
Yeah. Well,
So
kind of like that Fantastic Four guy, I guess.
yeah, right. Yeah, Human Torch. So yeah, I
Human
like it.
Scorch
Let's go the Human
instead.
Scorch. That's perfect. Awesome. So, Scorgie, thanks for coming on comics.fm. If you want to follow the show, and you should, go to the website, comics.fm. That gets you access to everything. But if you want to watch on YouTube, you can see everything. You can listen wherever you get your podcast, Spotify, Apple, Amazon Music, wherever. You can get a shirt, a mug, a sticker, also at comics.fm. Follow on all the social medias out there. And I think we're going to have to make sure we've got you on. I'm going to have to get Chris on too, and Raj, because we got to get the whole KKFM crew on this show at some point.
Yeah. Looking forward to it.
Awesome, Scorgie. Thanks for coming on. Appreciate it, man.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.